Hello from chilly, wintry England. We've been here for about 7 weeks, I think. So I'm just going to summarize what we've been up to as briefly as I can. And so we arrived here in January. Henry was staying for the first part of our trip. We arrived to very cold weather. Perhaps I've got used to it now, or it's warmed up. Or both of those things, probably. So the first day we arrived, we went with Henry to an English football game. The Wycombe Wanderers versus Sheffield Wednesday. Wycombe Wanderers are the local team, local to my mother's area. And it was a pretty good game. Wycombe Wanderers lost, unfortunately. But football in England is not just a sport, it's really more of a cult. And for me, the most enjoyment is listening to all the supporters, the different football supporters, chanting and singing and cheering their team on, which I have to say Sheffield Wednesday were better than Wycombe Wanderers, so perhaps that's why they won, I don't know. Anyway, we didn't quite freeze to our seats, but then also, while at the beginning of our trip here, one of our favourite walks here in Aylesbury is to walk down by the canal. Well, the canal was all frozen over and frosty, but it has warmed up since then, and spring is obviously on the way. One of the lovely flowers that flower in the winter, just as spring is around the corner here in England, are snowdrops. And they're really lovely, and people plant a lot of them, and they even have at some of the big houses and the churches what they call snowdrop Sundays or snowdrop teas, where people go and look at all the snowdrops and have tea and cake. So what have we done while we've been here? Well, we have seen a lot of family. That's been lovely. I've been able to spend good time with my mother, and kept himself busy by helping to restore an old telescope. This is a large telescope that my father made back in the 1950s, late 1950s, I should think. And my father was the first amateur to hand make a 12-inch mirror. And it was quite a good mechanical machining job. I'm not saying this right. But anyway, we have been able to get the telescope back together. It was all in parts and rusty. And it's possible that it will be handed on to a family member, to my nephew Hugh, once it's completely going. So that was a big job for Hank, but did keep him busy. Other things that we've done while we're here in Aylesbury, there's always something going on, and always something a little unexpected. But we have been able to go to a concert here with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. They came one Sunday, so we attended that. And then every Thursday up at the local church, which is literally just steps from our little cottage, they also have classical music, sometimes a pianist, sometimes cellists, various musicians come, so we quite often catch that. And then we finished off really our trip with a nice 3-day walk down the Ridgeway. We've been walking parts of the Ridgeway Trail while we've been here the last 2 trips, little bit by bit, and we had another 35 miles to finish. So we did it over 3 days. The Ridgeway is the oldest trail in England, thought to have been first used before the last ice age, when England was still connected to Europe. And it does follow along all the ridges. And along the way there, of course, evidence of ice age, Iron Age, I should say, mostly, settlements. So we've passed some big Iron Age forts like Segbury Camp. We passed the big symbol in chalk called the White Horse. It's an outline of a horse on a hillside made in chalk.
Of horses we passed, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. The oldest one, the one we got closest to too, is the White Horse. The old White Horse. And then also there are some burial mounds too, like Wayland Smithy. We stopped to check that out. We finished up at Avebury. Avebury Circle is a series of two large circular stones in circles, bigger, broader than Stonehenge and less visited. So it's actually much more pleasant, in my opinion, to visit. There's not many tourists, and very impressive giant granite stones. So if you're ever in England, you should make a point to visit Avebury and not have the hassle of all the tourists at Stonehenge. So now we're going to be heading back to California and then revisiting England again in July. So you've had some interesting music and food and even changed your mind about baths.
I did. I had the first bath I've ever had in 15 years after our 35-mile walk, which just about wiped me out. But anyway, baths are an amazing restorative process if you're really sore and tired, and that worked great for me. So that was great. And the music, I've been playing a lot of cello, and we've been listening to some great music. We went to see the Beethoven Symphony Erotica. We saw
Eroica.
I thought it was
Eroica.
Eroica, sorry.
You were hoping it might be erotic.
And then the Mozart Clarinet Concerto was really great, and so it was some really good music. And we've eaten well. You know, we've had there's a lot of things you can get here that you can't get back home, like the pork belly you can't get with skin on it back home, and so we've had that a couple of times, and a lot of lamb and a lot of really nice fish. And
some good Indian food and some good Turkish food.
Good Indian and good Turkish. Oh, and I had my nose hairs pulled out with wax at the Turkish barber. I was huge. Anyway.
And lots of good family dinners too.
Yeah, we did. We had
nice.
And we probably gained 10 pounds. But anyway. So It's been a good trip. We leave tomorrow we leave the house here at 9 and catch a noon flight, I think. And we'll be back tomorrow night. So
okay.
So I guess that's it for now. Bye.
Bye.